Within the pages of history, amidst tales of the fantastical and the unknown, lies a captivating narrative that mirrors the societal anxieties and superstitious fervor of its time, the werewolf trials. These trials, akin to their witch hunt counterparts, offer a window into an era when beliefs in the supernatural and fear of the mysterious intertwined to shape a tumultuous period. Spanning cultures and epochs, the trials reveal a dark chapter marked by paranoia, uncertainty, and a quest for answers in the face of the inexplicable. In this video, we uncover the emergence, progression, and the ultimate legacy of the werewolf trials. There was a period in Europe when werewolves were taken entirely too seriously. Not only were they believed to be real, suspected werewolves were subjected to trial in much the same way as the accused witches of Salem. Back then, different social classes had very different opinions of what werewolf meant. Peasants, still steeped in the pagan mythology of the area, blamed werewolves for dead livestock or interpersonal disputes and demanded the perpetrators be brought to justice. If it wasn't bad enough for humans to accuse each other of being actual animals, many of the accused were mentally ill or poor and estranged from the majority of the population. In true witch trial tradition, confessions often only came after long bouts of questioning that definitely involved torture. The belief in werewolves developed in part with the European belief in witches in the late Middle Ages and early modern times. Like all witch trials, alleged werewolf trials arose in what is now Switzerland during the various witch trials in the early 15th century and spread throughout Europe in the 16th and 17th century. Werewolf trials were introduced to Livonia in the 17th century and have since become the most common witch trials in the country. By the 18th century, the persecution of werewolves and related folklore is an integral, albeit peripheral part of the witch hunt phenomenon. The phenomenon lasted the longest in Bavaria and Austria, with persecutions of werewolves lasting well past 1650, with the last recorded cases in Carinthia and Styria in the early 18th century. Interest in and persecution of alleged werewolves reached a major peak primarily in French-speaking and German-speaking Europe in the wake of Peter Stump incident in 1589. Many of the werewolves who were sentenced were put to death for witchcraft, not for the crime of being a werewolf. Thies of Kaltenbrunn, or the Livonian werewolf, admitted to becoming a werewolf but only to go down to hell to fight for humanity in wolf form as a self-described hound of God. Those with perhaps less colorful imaginations didn't get away so easily. One of the earliest reported werewolves was in 1521 in Poligny, France, when a traveller was attacked by a wolf, tracked it, and found Michel Verdun dripping with blood. For some reason, Verdun not only confessed to being a werewolf, but also named Pierre Bourget and Philibert as fellow wolves. Their stories were suspiciously inconsistent with regards to how exactly one becomes a werewolf. Verdun said that he was given the power by a man in black, while Bourget said that Verdun had given him an ointment and forced him to renounce his baptism. Montaut didn't say anything about it, but he was executed just the same. In 1545, the Pope's physicians tested ointment that the Bishop of Avils suggested could be causing people's reactions. Indeed, Bourget said it was Verdun's ointment that made him into a wolf. It took the church 94 years to get around it. But when they did test the concoction, they found that it could indeed create the sensation of flying or growing fur. And so, another mystery is solved. It was humans being violent and reactionary all along. Hopefully, right? Some of the werewolves were connected to actual crimes. Jacques Roulet, the werewolf of Angers, was found wounded and half-naked near the mutilated corpse of a teenage boy. Needing no further evidence than these circumstances, he was arrested. Unlike other famous werewolves, Roulet confessed immediately and even embellished, boasting that he'd killed and eaten others before. Oddly, Roulet was judged mentally incapable and sentenced to an insane asylum and religious education rather than execution. In 1572, after the bodies of multiple missing children were found half-eaten in the woods of Dole, France, the group responsible for finding the culprit noticed that one of the wolves they were hunting sort of looked like their neighbor. They took that and ran with it, quickly accusing local weirdo Gilles Garnier and his wife. The pair were thrown under the bus by over 50 witnesses and tortured on the rack, which successfully wrung a confession out of Garnier. Less than a year later, they were burned at the stake. The most infamous werewolf of the time was Peter Stubb, aka the Werewolf of Bedburg. In 1589, pamphlets warning of his ability to shapeshift began circulating through London. Stubb's werewolf transformation allegedly came from a magical girdle he strung around his waist. Stubb was accused of killing and eating his victims for over 25 years. As penance for these crimes, he was strapped to a wheel before his skin was peeled off with hot pokers, his arms and legs were broken, his head was cut off, and his body was burnt. Not content with this, he set up a wolf's body with Stubb's head attached to it in the town square as a warning to anyone else interested in becoming a werewolf. In 1651, the Estonian werewolf trials turned up one 18-year-old known only as Hans. He said he'd been a werewolf for 2 years after being bitten by, you guessed it, a man in black. Given that this was Europe in the 1600s, the court decided he could only have become a werewolf through a satanic pact, making him a practitioner of witchcraft and therefore sentencing him to death. Following that, a man named Volkert Dirks claimed during the Amersfoort or Utrecht trials in the Netherlands that he and his family were able to shapeshift into wolves and cats under Satan's command, though only after being tortured. So as you have seen from the stories above, supposed deals with the devil is another recurring theme among all of these lycanthropy cases. And centuries later, it's difficult to untangle folklore from real evidence or what people believed to be real at the time. You may ask, how many people were tried and convicted of being werewolves in all? Several scholarly papers report that 30,000 were executed as werewolves in France alone between 1520 and 1630. But Dutch historian Willem de Bellecourt traced the origin of that figure to a 1611 book by Pierre de Lancre, another zealous werewolf prosecutor, noting that it referred to all the inhabitants of the Laborde region of France. That's because de Lancre believed that every family practiced witchcraft in some form. De Bellecourt concludes, the total number of prosecuted werewolves in Europe probably did not exceed several hundred. Well, thanks for staying with us till the end, friends. Hope you enjoyed the video. Do let us in on your thoughts in the comment section down below, and please do not forget to support us by liking our videos and subscribing to the channel. See you soon.